Hello, everybody. This is Kurtis, and I'm here with another live stream, and we are talking about Marvel Epic Collections and DC Finest. I have a box to open and a couple of packages that have already been opened just because I couldn't wait. So here's James, as usual, sitting by his keyboard there, typing away. Nice to see you, James. Um, what should we do first? Well, I'm going to tell you the story first. I got a box in the mail, and this was on the weekend, and it had a gaping hole in the side, and it looked like it had sat in a puddle for like an hour. And it didn't sit on a puddle at my doorstep for an hour. It arrived like that because I got it, and it was just like this. It was open, it was like soggy, and I was like, oh no, these books are not going to be good inside. And sure enough, I opened it up and they were wet. There were 3 books in that box, one of Marvel's packages. One of them was this one, and it's this whole bottom corner up to about maybe about here, all the way down, all the way through, was completely soaked. And the other books in this package, this was the worst one. The other books in the package um, also got wet, and so I hurried and dried it and separated the pages so they didn't stick together. And it's still like there's no way it's going to ever recover. You can see it's way fatter on this end now than it is on this end. Um, it's not pretty, and you can see it's gotten dirty on the end there. It's just not pretty. Yeah, there's the water stain. It goes up to there, and it was pretty bad. You can see the wrinkles and like the ink coming off of the black there. It's just a mess. So I'm gonna have to buy this one when it comes out at the comic book stores. I still thank Marvel for passing me along this copy, even though it got destroyed. Yeah, not worth keeping. It's not even like I can't even put it on a shelf because this part has expanded so much that it's not going to fit with the other books nicely. So this is the first time that something like this has ever happened to me to this extent. There have been times when the package gets wet and maybe it affects something very, very slight, but this was the first time I've had something that this drastic. I've never had the mail deliver a box that looked like this. I've never had that before. So, I guess there's a first time for everything, but this is this is what it looked like when it arrived at my house. So that was a little ridiculous. Um, but it is what it is. I had something like this happen to me before. Luckily, the book wasn't wet and damaged somehow, although it sat in pouring rain. Yeah, that is really good. That's the first time it ever happened. Yeah. Every collected edition buyer knows the pain. Yeah. And so, you know, yeah. So that was it. It was this book, and it was the Defenders, which you can see got some damage there on the bottom. It's got wrinkly pages now too. Again, and like I said, it didn't suffer as bad as Ghost Rider did, but it did do that one. And then also in the box was the Venom War, which now has crinkled pages too. So not sure what I'm going to do with these. I don't think any collector is going to really want the mangled books. Maybe I'll see if the library wants them. I don't know if that's fair to do. Still readable. It just doesn't look good. Um, Can I get a replacement? I'm not going to ask because these are the advanced copies I got from Marvel, and I'm not going to say to Marvel, "Hey, the books got destroyed. Can you send me others?" Because they're gracious enough to send these to me in the first place. So I'll buy them when they get to my local comic shop, and then they'll have a place on my shelf from there. But there we go. I also think wet pages can mold, so I'd be careful about keeping them around other books. Yeah, so that was one of the reasons when I got it out of the box, I made sure that I dried it very thoroughly right away. So I don't think that this is in danger of molding at all because I've been very thorough with the drying process. So I think it'll be fine. But yes, you are correct about that danger in there. But enough about that. Let's talk about the books themselves. So this is Ghost Rider Danny Ketch, Volume 6, Siege of Darkness. And this is so we've already had volume 1 of Ghost Rider Danny Ketch, but so this is the second volume in the epic series, but it's the sixth volume. This is the second one we've gotten published, but it's the sixth volume in the series. And you can see up here it says Marvel's Midnight Suns star in a never before collected crossover. That's right. This is the Rise of the Midnight Suns. So in the 90s, Marvel decided to do something a little bit different with their editorial offices. They divided all of the superheroes into these different silos and kind of had a head editorial overseeing the different silos. X-Men, well, of course, was a silo. Spider-Man had enough titles that it could be a silo. And there's more generic Marvel heroes that had a silo. And then there was also what they called the Midnight Suns, which was kind of all of the mystical or horror-themed superheroes. They all got their own silo. So that included Ghost Rider, Ghost Rider Blaze, Spirits of Vengeance, which was another spin-off title, Night Stalkers, which was a Blade, sort of a Blade Tomb of Dracula spin-off title, Darkhold from the pages from the Book of Sins, which was sort of an ongoing series that didn't last very long about the Darkhold, the book. And Morbius got a title, Doctor Strange, and Midnight Suns Unlimited. So those are all the titles that were part of Midnight Suns, and they are all part of this massive story called Siege of Darkness. And so let's see. Ghost Rider, Johnny Blaze, and their fellow Midnight Suns may believe Demon Queen Lilith has been defeated, but now they must contend with her hellish spawn, the Lilin. And as the Lilin spread, Lilith returns in an unholy alliance with Zarathos. Morbius is turned against his brethren, and Zarathos commands his ancient followers, the Fallen, including Salome, an evil former sorcerer supreme who spells bad news for Doctor Strange. Can Ghost Rider, Blaze, Blade, Morbius, and their allies win the day, or will this be the end of the Midnight Suns? This entire volume is Siege of Darkness. There isn't any other content in it. It starts with the first chapter and it ends with the last chapter. That's how many chapters are in this. Let's see here. 15, 16, 17 chapters, or 16 chapters plus an epilogue in Midnight Suns Unlimited. I believe that's it. Or maybe that is the last chapter. Let's check. Midnight Suns Unlimited. There are no page numbers in this because we're in the era of full bleed, so they didn't put page numbers to obscure the artwork. I'm not going to be able to figure out where the page break is. Oh, no. Spirits of Vengeance. Yeah, I don't know. But you want to take a look inside? Let's take a look at some of this artwork. Like I said, this is the 90s. In fact, this is, what is this, 1993 and 1994. This was the era when we started getting a lot of big crossovers, including like Maximum Carnage was just a couple years before this, and the Infinity Stories, Infinity Gauntlet, Infinity War, and now, yes, Midnight Suns is one of them. Operation Galactic Storm was in this era, and things like Fatal Attractions and Executioner's Song, all of that was happening around the same time here. Because we have so many different titles represented, they each have 2 chapters, and they're all done by different writers and different artists. So we have a lot of different writers and different artists represented in one volume here. I'll read some of them off to you. Writers Stephen Grant, Howard Mackey, Christian Cooper, Gregory Wright, David Quinn, D.G. Chichester, and then pencilers Andrew Wildman, Ron Garney, Reggie Jones, Turek Tyler, Isaac Cordova, Mel Ruby, Henry Martinez. A lot of these names I don't recognize, partly because since Marvel was rapidly expanding their output during this era, they're hiring a lot of people who kind of came and went and only lasted a little bit through this era. A lot of that is because there are some Marvel Comics Presents issues, and that was kind of a trial book for new artists. So we saw a lot of names, unfamiliar names in there. Yeah, let's see here. 1993 is the most 90s year ever 90 of the 90s that ever 90. Death of Superman, Nightfall, Clone Saga. Yeah, that's right, 1993. And then in 1995 was Age of Apocalypse, which I think was also very, very 90s as well. So yeah, you want to take a closer look. Some of the things I really like about this era is they had special covers. So I don't know if you remember this. It had kind of this metallic ink cover for all of these the first chapters of the Midnight Suns. So they looked really cool. It was kind of on parchment paper rather than regular cover cardstock, and they tried to reproduce that the best that they can, just using regular ink and on regular paper. But it was definitely something to see when you saw it, um, like in person. So that's the first half of the book, and in the second half, the covers all had this bleeding cover to it. Let me see if I can find an example there where the top was all bleeding. So that's the second half of the Midnight Suns, the Rise of the Midnight Sun story. Find another one there. There's the cover image, of course, which they didn't put the blood on the top there. Um, yeah, some cool artwork there. I'm gonna take a little bit more look at the interior artwork. A lot of characters that I'm just not very familiar with. I never really read the Midnight Suns when they were out. It wasn't my thing. I just didn't. I was more in the Spider-Man and the Fantastic Four era, or corners of the Marvel universe. Didn't really get involved in this. So reading these Ghost Rider epics are actually pretty fun. Volume one is great. Oh yeah, Doctor Strange when he kind of put on that mask that he had for a little while in the 1960s. He kind of gets it back here. And then we have some other Ghost Rider type characters, which I don't know if I'm going to say because it's kind of a spoiler. Um, Having blood progressively bleed down the covers chapter by chapter was actually a really cool gimmick. Let's see if I find one of the later ones for you. There's getting pretty bloody. And then, oh yeah, it's almost all covered up there. Makes for some really interesting compositions as well, yeah. And where's the final chapter? I tried looking for this earlier. I don't know that I'm going to find it. Yeah, don't know. Anyway, you want to see what bonus features you have in here? We've got some Marvel Age articles. Here, let me get that comment off the here. Marvel Age. Pages don't turn because of my water damage. State of Shock. That's the name of the article. And just more articles, more articles. Cool picture there. Who's that drawn by? George Pratt. That's a great image. And interviews with somebody. Who are these guys? Bobby Chase? No, that's not right. Bobby Chase is a woman. I don't know. I don't see any names there. We'll have to read the article in order to find out who is there. Some profiles. And one piece of original art. That's kind of cool. So that's that. I love the Morbius title from this era. Where's Morbius Epic Volume 3 at? That's a great question. They should do that. It would be great to have the 90s Morbius title included. We've got a couple of issues in here, but those Morbius Epic collections really only came out because of the Morbius movie. And I don't know if Marvel's kind of just done with Morbius for a little while. We'll have to see. Yes, George Pratt of Enemy Ace. Um, your thoughts on Brave New World? I thought Anthony Mackie was likable as always, but they didn't give him much to work with other than Ford. I thought I actually really liked it. I've been kind of tired of the really big spectacle end of the world kind of or end of the universe movies that Marvel has been doing. So the fact that they brought it smaller scale and told kind of a really neat story, um, I really enjoyed that. Yeah, Mackie was great. Ford was great. I liked the new Falcon. The action sequences I thought were a lot of fun. Um, the yeah, I thought it was a tight movie. I liked it. Some people were like, I could totally tell where the reshoots were, and like I couldn't. Maybe I don't have a discerning enough eye or something, but I couldn't tell. I thought it flowed together really nice. I loved the shorter total screen time. Like it was just like under 2 hours, and I thought that was a perfect amount of time. Often I find that like the last half an hour of a Marvel movie is unnecessary and drags on, but this one didn't. I thought it just told its story, did a good job of it, and it was out. I think more movies should be like that. The celestial backdrop was really cool, though. Yes, it was. I thought that was great. Really liked that. And Red Hulk was amazing. Totally appreciated that too. Even though it was a little different from the comic book origins, I thought they did an excellent job there. Okay, let's talk about this one here. Defenders. Defenders Volume 3, World Gone Sane. This is the Steve Gerber era of the Defenders, and I really like this stuff. Um, I loved Steve Gerber. Any time that he's on a book, it's like so much fun. And so this one is no exception. A lot of great stuff in here with Sal Buscema mostly on the artwork. Defenders number 26 to 41. Giant size number 6. Oh, no, sorry, giant size number 5. Annual number 1. And Marvel Treasury Edition number 12, which I've never read before, but it has a team up with Howard the Duck. So that should be pretty cool. Um, and we met the origins of these characters in the previous volume, but um, these are characters that were kind of picked out of random Golden Age comics and thrown into the Defenders, and they've become kind of reoccurring villains. So they come back in this one. And so let's have a look inside here. World Gone Sane. Steve Gerber with Bill Mantlo, Len Wein, Jerry Conway, Roger Silver, Chris Claremont, and Scott Edelman, and with pencils by Sal Buscema, Don Heck, and Sam Granger. So there you go. That's a good team, good group of people there. Starting with Defenders, the giant-sized Defenders, and this is still the classic team. The Defenders when they start was Hulk, and it was Doctor Strange, and um, how come I'm blanking now? All of a sudden, oh, this is Guardians of the Galaxy. Guardians of the Galaxy are in this one. That's good. Um, oh, that would be. I think those issues are actually in the Guardians of the Galaxy book that just came out last week. Um, but anyway, yeah. Oh, Silver Surfer, and golly, why am I a Submariner? I don't know why I was drawing a blank. Yeah, Submariner steps out pretty quickly, and Valkyrie joins, and this is the era that has Valkyrie and Nighthawk, which is from an alternate reality or an alternate universe, and they form the core of the team for quite a while here, and so these are their adventures. Um, and there's Hellstrom. He joins the team eventually as well, but he gets tied into these characters and makes some reoccurring appearances as well. Let's see here. How long does Hulk appear in Defenders? He's there for quite a while. I can't remember when he steps out, but I don't know. Is it around 50 or something? Like he's there for a long time. Hulk appears up till the six-fingered hand saga. That's like what is that like 75? Let me just check. I know the answer to that. Six-fingered hand is 92. So Hulk sticks around to for approximately the 90 issues or so. Any chance that we'll get a Howard the Duck Epic Collection? Yeah, probably. Most likely we will get one at some point. They did reprint that series in full several years ago in complete collections, and those ones are now out of print and and rising in price. So if they want to reprint that material, then they will bring that one. They'll probably bring it to Epic Collections. And here's the king size annual, and let's find out. Let's see, where is the Treasury edition here? And you can see, of course, Treasury editions were Marvel's large format books, and so they're not reprinting these at the actual size. They have to shrink them down to fit this page, which is why we get black at the top and the bottom there, because they're all shrunk to fit, but looks nice. They always put a lot more attention into these books because they were, you had more canvas to play with. So you get a lot more, maybe not as much detail, but nobody was skimping on the artwork in this stuff. Okay, let's see. I have some questions here. Nighthawk and Namor and Valkyrie were the only reason I know this because of my Mighty Marvel 2025 calendar hanging above you. February's Defenders Month. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that. Um, Netflix has a Defenders series which had Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, and Iron Fist. Yeah, I just rewatched that just a couple of weeks ago. I've been doing a big watch through of all of the Daredevil Netflix stuff in order to prepare for the upcoming season that's coming out in a couple of weeks. And if you are, I know Defenders wasn't like the top of everybody's list in terms of those Netflix shows, but it is pretty essential to the whole Daredevil story. Some pretty important things happen in that one, so you have to watch it between season 2 and season 3. Phil, you're late. What did you miss? I missed talking about this package that came in the mail. The box looked like this. It was soaked on the corner. This is what the box looked like when I got it. So I showed that off, and I showed what was inside: the water damaged books, Ghost Rider, Danny Ketch, Siege of Darkness, and also Defenders World Gone Sane. I know that, Phil, you're looking forward to this one. It's got your name all over it. Okay, so that's those two. Also in the package, in the water damage package, I got this new trade of the Venom War, which is a new miniseries that Marvel just wrapped recently. It's getting its trade paperback debut here, and it is one of the Venom has gone through a very large series of large events now that we've kind of discovered more of his origin stories in from his home planet and all that kind of stuff. So this is called Venom War. It's a story of two different Venoms, Eddie Brock and his son, who both have symbiotes, and they're kind of battling to see who's going to be the King in Black. And of course, every other Spider character or Venom type character, Toxin and Carnage and everybody, they all show up in here to have some fun. So if you like symbiotes, you should probably check this one out. It's got some, oh, that one's a violent page. Spider-Man shows up teeny little bit in here, but not much. There is the anti-venom. Yeah. And here's a special gold venom. Don't know anything about that guy. Gonna have to read this book. There you go. Father Son. This is what is it? Venom War numbers 1 through 5. It is just the series. I know that there were also tie-ins in the various different books as well, but they didn't include those in this trades. Maybe they'll do it in a bigger complete collection or an omnibus someday. Does this tie into Al Ewing's run? Yes, it does. In fact, the whole miniseries is written by Al Ewing as well. It definitely ties into his run there for sure. Wait, next up, DC Finest Harley Quinn, Birth of the Mirth. And this is the very first volume of the Harley Quinn series coming from the DC Finest series, collecting issues from 1993 all the way to 2001. And this has the very first comic appearance. Of course, Harley Quinn is a character that debuted in the Batman animated series, and it took a couple of years before she she became actually a pretty popular character because of that show, and then they decided to bring her over to the comics. Her first comic appearance was in the Batman Adventures number 12, which was this was a series that was just made to support the animated series. So all of the characters are done in their animated series style, and it takes place in the animated series continuity. And this is indeed Harley Quinn's first appearance. And then after that, it's one of my favorite comics. Um, I'll show you the cover. Batman Adventures Mad Love. And this was a like a prestige format book written by Paul Dini and drawn by Bruce Timm, the creators of Batman the Animated Series. And it tells the origin of Harley Quinn. And it is just a fantastic story. And it eventually was made into an episode itself in the show's third season. But yeah, I'm glad that they were able to include that in here. And then after that, we skip ahead to kind of her first full appearance in the regular DC continuity in another special book called Batman Harley Quinn. This is also written by Paul Dini. And uh, I've never read this one, so it'll be good for me to check that one out. And then after that, we get a bunch of seemingly random issues from the No Man's Land era of Batman, when there is a catastrophic earthquake that destroyed a lot of the city and such, and all of the crime circles were kind of after claiming their territories. And so we get um, they've actually the way they've put this together is actually really clever. They've taken out all of the subplot pages and just given us the Joker story. So there's a Joker story that runs throughout these issues and throughout this whole era. And this one, and so the reading experience is not jarring. It actually reads really, really well, even though they are only giving us partial issues and skipping some others. The way they've put this together is actually really good. And follow so that's kind of the first half of the book. The second half of the book is her ongoing series. When she got popular enough that DC decided to take a risk and give her her own book, and so that's the one that was written by Carl Kessel and drawn by the Dodsons. And so it's really interesting. Actually, we start with the animated series look, and it goes. She breaks, I guess, the fourth wall or something, and ends up in regular DC continuity. So I don't know exactly how that all plays out because I haven't read these issues yet, but we'll get to that soon. But great artwork as always. I feel like this is kind of where the Dodsons really rose to fame. Right before this, they were kind of working on, like, they had a stint on Generation X and some other places, but I think this is where they really got popular. And of course, now he's doing his own creator-owned stuff, which if you've read Adventure Man, is really good. Yeah. So there you go. So okay, comment here says interesting. So the DC Finance is willing to include non-canon material. In this instance, yes. I don't know that you're going to find that very much, but since specifically this character has an origin in the in the non-canon material, I think that's why they included it here. It informs a lot of her character and a lot of her character development in those early issues there. So I think that's kind of the main reason why they are doing that in this case. I don't think you're going to find, like, let's say the Gotham by Gaslight or whatever in a Batman DC Finest. I don't think you're going to find that. Dom of X is here. Hi, Dom. Everybody. I will be on Dom's YouTube channel next Friday morning, to talk about this book and a couple of others. So tune into that at his YouTube channel, Dom of X. Thanks, Dom. I'm glad you're here. Okay. I got one more box. This is actually, oh, my camera went out of focus there. This is the last box, the only box we're going to open today because, like I said, I already opened the water damage box in order to try and preserve the books as best as I could. Okay, first book. We got two books in here. Let's see what the first book is. This is one of the new line that Marvel started called Marvel Premier Collection. It's a smaller format book. So this is the standard size. This is how big the Marvel Premier Collection are. These retail at about 15 bucks. And this one is called The Winter Soldier, and it collects the very first Winter Soldier story arc by Ed Brubaker and Steve Epting. This is stuff that has recently come out in the Epic collections in the modern era, Captain America modern era Epic collections, and but this serves a different purpose. This, while the Epic collection is kind of all of the issues in one long unbroken run, the point of this series is to collect standalone story arcs, and so this one begins with the Captain America #1 when it was relaunched, um, and goes through issue number 14. It skips issue 8, or sorry, it skips issue 5 because that was the House of M issue that was, pulled out of continuity, so it's not part of this story. So yeah, it doesn't list the actual issues on the back, but that's what it is here. The pages are not glossy. It's very matte. And so I think that the artwork actually looks really, really sharp on this style of page. You don't usually see this because it wasn't originally printed on matte stock. The omnibus isn't in matte stock. The Epic collection isn't. So this is kind of the only place that you're going to see it looking like this, and it actually looks really, really nice. I kind of wish that all of the books were printed on this type of paper, actually. So this is the story, of course, the very first appearance of Winter Soldier. Steve Rogers gets mixed up in a kind of a mystery. A lot of people associated with Steve Rogers are being killed, and he has to figure out why. And it leads him to this new adversary called the Winter Soldier. And if you know anything about Captain America, you know who the secret identity of that character is. But for the sake of you who don't know, I'm not going to say it here. Just got to read the book. How does the quality compare to DC Compact? Well, the quality is pretty similar. To keep the price point down, which is why they're using kind of that matte stock, they're using a cheaper paper stock. Not to say that it's a bad paper stock, but it is priced cheaper on purpose so that they can keep the overall cost of these books down. The quality's fine though. I mean, it's got a good amount of glue in the binding. Pages aren't going to be falling out, and it still looks sharp. DC also uses a similar paper stock for their compact as well. So I think that it's comparable if you know what those ones look like. The trim size is a little bigger. DC sits maybe a half an inch shorter. Logan asks, have you read the Longbow Hunters yet? If so, thoughts? Trying to decide between that or Wonder Woman Origins and Omens. I did read Longbow Hunters, and it's fantastic. From start to finish, I really enjoyed that. I thought it was just a really, really fascinating read. I know nothing about Green Lantern. Green Arrow. I know nothing about Green Arrow, but I thought it was a really, really good introduction to his character. Heavy Rice says, "Do you pick up the Smurfs archives?" You know what? I'm going to pass on those. I think for now. I bought the old Smurf. What was the previous collection? The anthology series, and they had 5 volumes of that, which kind of gets you all of the classic stories up until a certain point when they canceled the series. But it's probably about all the Smurfs that I need. They're great books. They read really well, really fun stories. So pick them up if you can. Okay, last book we're going to talk about here. I wonder if these premiere editions was an answer to DC's compact editions. I bet they were, but they're coming out so soon after the DC compact that I'm pretty sure they had both in mind, maybe at the same time. One just beat the other to the punch. Yeah, they apparently sell well and are great for new readers, so the more the merrier. Yeah, somebody who works at a bookstore was telling me that they are the DC Compact and Marvel Premier Collection are selling really, really well. Like so many pre-orders for it, which is great. And I think it's because the price point is lower, and that's bringing a lot of people in, which is fantastic. Okay, this is Wolverine Epic Collection Law of the Jungle. Volume 15. This is issues from 2002 to 2003, the Frank Thierry run. This is actually the end of the Frank Thierry run, as well as all of Daniel Way's run, and until they cancel the title and relaunch it with a new number one. So, for all intents and purposes, this is the end of the classic era of Wolverine. It's got issues 173 to 189. Now, if you've been buying the other Wolverine Epic collections, you know that there are over the years he's had so many different miniseries and one shots, and so oftentimes when you get a Wolverine Epic collection, it has maybe a few of his actual series issues, and then there's tons of extra stuff. Well, there is no extra stuff in this one. It is simply a straight run of uh, 16 issues or so. And look, you want to take a look inside? Let's take a look inside here. See the names, some of the writers. Sean Chen, Dan Fraga. This is after all of the nonsense with him losing his adamantium, and he goes feral and has bone claws and becomes one of the agents of Apocalypse. And this is after all of that, right when. So this is contemporary with the Grant Morrison and the Grant Morrison era X-Men, when they all had their leather jackets when the movies were first coming out. So you can see Wolverine has his leather jacket in these, well, when he's wearing a jacket. But this was kind of a more serious tone, a more grounded tone for Wolverine. They did a lot more character focused story arcs in this one, where he's dealing with other people he like his past from Madripoor and that kind of stuff. Nice little action shot or money shot right there. Another one. Is that Wolverine getting beat up by a deer? This one's called Law of the Jungle, because that's one of the story arcs in this book here. Let's see here. It's an end of an era as Wolverine's longest running series comes to a close. Yep. So we're going to see a lot of people. You see a big Sabretooth arc in this. And I find it funny how Logan decided to go shirtless with his new leather jacket. Why is that funny? Yeah, Bambi's Revenge. Very good. That's a Sal Buscema punch backward shot there. Yeah, you're right. Oh, man. Can I find that again? I don't know if I can. Oh, there's a nice splash page with some members of Alpha Flight. Going back to his roots there. Is this contemporary to the Jenkins Origins series? It comes after that, a few years after that, because the Origins was that 2000 or 2001, and this is 2002 and 2003, so it's a little bit after that. In fact, the Origins was collected. This is volume 15. Origins was collected in volume 13, which was called Blood Hunt. Let me just double check to make sure that's right. Or Blood Debt. Yeah, Blood Debt. How do you get the Winter Soldier Premiere Collection early? I want to thank Marvel for sending me some advanced copies of these books. All of these ones are coming out in, let's see, what are the street dates for these? Um, these two books here are going to come out at the end of March, on March 25th. And then this book and this Defenders and Ghost Rider, these ones are all due out April 1st. So get your pre-orders in for those ones if you're interested, and you will be able to have them on the first day. So there you go. That's what we're talking about today. We talked about those three and those 5 Marvel books plus this one from DC, Harley Quinn. I got to get going. It's Marvel Monday, so I get to watch a Marvel movie with my son. And if you've been following along with our adventure as I do my live streams, we are on Ant-Man and the Wasp, Ant-Man 2. We decided to watch that before Endgame and Infinity War so that we can watch those 2 movies kind of back to back and not be interrupted in the middle. So we're checking that one out today. Anyway, thanks everybody for watching. It's been great chatting with you. Thanks for all of the comments. I hope that you like this video and subscribe and have a good week. Have a good week, everybody. See you.